This so important? Why is this so important for the logistics industry that we see this kind of capital investment? This is a significant step change from the warehouses of old.
The warehouses of old, you said it. If you go back to the Dickensian warehouse of 20 years ago, people were pushing these boxes around by hand, and they were getting 30, 40, 50 picks per hour. You bring in technology to that game 20 years later, today, in the warehouse of the future, as we are here with Nestle, actually really the warehouse of the present as we've created, and you see those pick rates go from 50 per hour to 300 per hour. The delta between being mediocre and great is a massive step up. So what's happening is that customers are coming to a third-party logistics provider like us and saying, I haven't got time to worry about my cost base or my warehousing. The game's just got harder. Technology has increased the curve. I need a partner who can work with me to make me great, help me turn good into great, and that's why we're seeing this flow of customers coming through.
In terms of what happens next, industrial automation is suddenly accelerating. Internet of Things, robotics, AI, all coming together to produce these kinds of solutions. Just give me a sense of the curve and how it's going to look in terms of industrial automation going forward, and what you think it can do, not now, but in 5 years' time, 10 years' time.
Completely. We're at the foothills here of greatness. Think about where the industry is starting from. Most warehouses, the industry is 5% automated. We're leading the way, 30% automation across our warehouses. And if you come to us, we're not having to show you a YouTube video about what great looks like. We can actually show you facilities like this where we've lived it and done it and raised pick rates, as I mentioned, from that 50 per hour rate to 100, 200, 300 per hour. So it's a complete game change when it goes from 5% to 30%. As an industry, I think it could be as high as 60, 70% going forwards if you were to look at other industries. But there is a long, long trajectory of growth here, Guy.
Mark, it's so good to see you. I feel very left out. You guys are clearly twinning, and I'm not a part of this, but it's great to see you on the floor of the logistics center. I'm curious as to what the ROI for something like this is, because if I'm a huge warehouse that's used to doing everything by hand, retrofitting it and changing it, the capital outlay has got to be quite expensive, and I'm wondering how you balance all of it.
You're totally right. There's two elements to this. Our CapEx bill per year at GXO is roughly around $250 million, Alex. Now, half of that is technology. We're really less of a warehousing company and more of a technology outsourcing company, more of an advisory, more of a consultancy, someone you call when you want to turn that good into great, as I mentioned. And what we're seeing recently, particularly in the trends that we're seeing with new customers, is more demand for first-time outsourcers than we ever have before, a hugely healthy trend. A new demand also from seeing the small customers want to gravitate towards the big 3PL players, so the big are getting bigger here. And in so doing, what's happening is that customers want to spend more of the CapEx upfront themselves, particularly those first-time outsourcers. So it is a very exciting backlog. I loved Guy's point about investment in the industry. We're going to see more and more investment across robotics than we ever have done. And this is going to be one of the great growth stories of the next 20 years.
Okay, I want to talk about people. Hold that thought. Yesterday I caught up with Adrian Jones from the Unite Union to get his take. Let's listen to what he had to say.
Change is inevitable. We're not Luddites. We're not talking about smashing up the robots here. This is about understanding what the implications of new technology and automation may be. And inevitably, that will be at the cost of some jobs. We can't just have an upskilling and discard people along the way.
Not Luddites. They recognize the unions that robots are going to be the way forward, that we are going to have to find a way of managing this process. How do you bring staff along with the robots? Big investment in robots. How do you invest in your staff so that we get that harmony that exists between people and the robotics?
You're totally right. It's people and robots, not people versus robots. This is making environments more efficient, and it's making environments, more importantly, more safe. That's what we've really found when we've integrated automation within our network. Customers demand it, teammates love it, and it helps shareholder value creation. This is really the holy trinity of what we're looking to achieve. teammates, shareholders, and bringing it all together as the customer solution.
Mark, I wanted to ask a question about current conditions. We're seeing more restrictions in the UK. Cases continue to climb. The UK now reporting 58,000 new COVID cases as of today. Are we going to have a repeat of 2020 where we all stay at home, we all buy a lot of stuff, where you have to then deliver it, and what that does to supply chains and the inflationary impulse? What are you noticing right now?
So there's a couple of things. We've lived this now through 4 bouts over the last 2 years. So it's very, very important for us to continue to monitor the data, as you rightly point out, Alex. But I'd say a couple of things, and that is what we're seeing on the ground and all the great themes that you've had on your show today, whether it be air freight, whether it be in the port of Los Angeles, whether it be the new variant, whether it be inflation, as Guy said. This is about solving problems. You give me a problem, I give you a solution. We are really here as a consultancy to help our customers be great. And that includes upticks in variance, as you've explained. What we're looking to do through this period is really emphasize our strengths. Half of this business is e-commerce. And when people are working from home, they're buying more stuff online. That naturally helps our volumes as a business, and it creates demand for customers who want more e-commerce driven solutions, more reverse logistics driven solutions. So I'm not saying we're proliferating. All I'm saying is that we're seeing that customer demand as we go through this winter period.
It's interesting. I keep seeing cartons of condensed milk going past. Apparently it's something to do with the Great British Bake Off, but the flexibility exists within the system to be able to manage that. You talk about the tech, and the tech is well represented here. It's not represented at every facility, so you are going to be clearly taking this tech and using it elsewhere. As you think about how you are going to progress GXO, how do you think, you're an ex-analyst, how do you think the market should be valuing a tech-heavy logistics company? Is it the logistics company of old? How do you incorporate that tech into the valuation?
If you think about what a technology outsourcing company trades on in the public markets right now, we're looking at roughly multiples on the EV to EBITDA scale of around 19 times, 2022 numbers. To contextualize that, we as a pure play, scale leader, technology advanced company, ironically are only trading at around 15 to 16 times. So it contextualizes where we are in that journey. We started out with people saying that we should be more like 8, 9, 10 times in the Dickensian warehouse of old. We're on that journey as we go. People will realize our persistence of our growth profile. They'll realize the TAM that exists for a company that barely has $7.5 billion of revenue. We have a $430 billion total addressable market. This is literally just getting started. You tell me companies that with this environment and the comps that we've had last year that can compound growth going forwards, we're going to be part of a few, if not the only. This is a unique story, Guy.